Khorne here, and today I wanted to make a video to, well, I'm not really sure how to put this, but basically I just wanted to give a warning to people about getting overhyped for Total War Warhammer 40k. So I'm sure it's not just me that is getting videos from other creators about 40k and them dissecting all of the recent showcases that CA has been putting out. Many of these videos I'm getting have titles such as CA has solved the problem of sieges with 40k, or Warhammer 40k's new dynamic cover is game-changing, or similar such titles hyping up what new mechanics and systems the game could introduce. Now, before continuing further with the video, I just want to say that this is not me complaining about a game that hasn't even been released yet, or wishing that it will fail, as many bad faith actors will probably try and say that I am doing just that. This isn't true though, as I do want Warhammer 40k to succeed, and I want it to be a good game, because as most of you know, I do actually like this game franchise, and I want to see it expanded on, and it succeeding would of course be good for my channel as well. But as someone who has been burnt and disappointed by Warhammer 3 in the past, I still felt like making this video, just to give a warning to people who might not be familiar with Creative Assembly and their business practice of releasing half-broken, undercooked, over-promised games. Something that has happened with Warhammer 3 in recent years, and games like Rome 2 in the past. Or even the fact that Three Kingdoms was abandoned in a half-finished, half-broken state as well.
Now it's time to talk about the future of Three Kingdoms. With the release of Fates Divided, we've completed our content for Total War Three Kingdoms.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is that you shouldn't believe everything you're being told about Warhammer 40k. What I'm not saying is that it is going to be a bad game, and I'm not saying it will be horrible on release, just that you should temper your expectations of it, as I am seeing videos and speculations that are hyping up Warhammer 40k to the moon and back, and I really don't think that this is deserved. You can say what you want about Creative Assembly, I know I do, but they are masters when it comes to marketing a product. I have never once seen a CA game that wasn't marketed perfectly and got people hyped for it. Well, except maybe for Hyenas, but that's a different story. And even Warhammer 3 was praised on its release to basically be a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10 game, while it barely functioned and was poorly designed. And this is evident by the fact that the most popular mods on its release were either bug fixes or mods to remove game mechanics, most noticeably the rifts that kept popping up everywhere, which was a core feature of the game. And most people who did give the game a high score when it released either basically went back on it later on, or just quietly stopped playing the game until it got updated some 6 months after its release, which you can pretty much even see on its Steam charts. None of this necessarily means that the game will be awful on release. But all I can say is that based on what I have seen from the showcases, Warhammer 40k doesn't seem all that different from neither Warhammer 3 nor any older Total War game, both in terms of visuals and gameplay. And allow me to showcase this. First, let's talk about the visuals. You just have to watch this comparison between a Ogre unit in 40k and an Ogre unit in Warhammer 3. They more or less use the same animations, they visually look the same, they act the same, and if I were to guess, I would say that they basically reused assets from Warhammer 3 and ported them directly into 40k. Now, is this bad on its own? Well, no, not really. I actually think this is totally fine. But it does make me wonder how much of Warhammer 3 was ported over to 40k, and with that, how many bugs have made their way over as well. Because let's be real, even though this is mostly an aesthetic similarity, and the most glaring one at that, it will also have some gameplay impact if units are going to act and play in the exact same way as they do in Warhammer 3. Then, with the most recent CA showcase of a unit behind cover firing at a unit charging it, showing what is supposed to be some incredible new breakthrough in how the game is designed and how the game will play. And this is also being pushed by other content creators as something that will revolutionize and redefine how the game is played in the future. But here's the same scenario in Shogun 2, a game that is 16 years old at this point, with the exact same setup and the exact same result. And look, they even have the exact same suppressive fire that was clamored about in Creative Assembly's showcase. You could make an argument that this isn't a one-to-one exact comparison, but I would argue that this is way too similar considering the fact that the games are being made 16 years apart. And the results being basically the same is extremely disheartening, especially when they have put so much of an emphasis on the new cover system and the quote-unquote real projectiles. Now, when it comes to projectiles actually being real on the battlefield, I don't actually know what that means, as to me, they already look pretty real, since, you can actually dodge them. But from what I could tell from their showcases, there is actually no real difference in how units behave in 40k versus how they behaved in Shogun 2 versus how they behave currently in Warhammer 3. So again, my question is, how impactful will this be really, or will the change be the same as people clamoring about water physics? Oh, look how beautiful the water ripples are! The game will surely be amazing! All this is to say that we already have or had these things in current or previous Total War games. Most of what got showcased is either just recycled mechanics or just something that is insignificant in the grand scheme of things. Now, the whole cover system they're bragging about, with how you can make cover anywhere on the battlefield, how you have different cover types, and how you get different bonuses dependent on which cover you're using, well, most of that was already in Warhammer 3. Besides the part where you can actually make a cover with explosions. And some of it was also put out as a selling point for the game as well, such as dockable areas for sieges and minor city battles, where you had areas you could put your units into cover to provide them with the same stat bonuses that are being showcased for 40k. Except in almost every instance of you using this cover system, you would have gotten a worse result in your battles than if you were to have completely ignored it. Fast forward to today, and dockable areas have been removed from the game. So a selling point for Warhammer 3 turned out to be completely worthless and even detrimental to your gameplay, and subsequently got removed. Same goes for minor city battles, which were again a major selling point, something that was going to revolutionize your settlement defense and improve your gameplay experience. Well, they had to basically remove it from 99% of your encounters because people found it to be extremely annoying to play these battles. And again, some of the most popular mods were ones that removed these battles entirely. So my question is, are we going to see the exact same thing with this quote-unquote new cover system? How impactful will it be really, and will it be something that has to be fixed by mods later on, and then completely overhauled or outright removed by Creative Assembly themselves? Besides this, the battle they showcased basically shows how they haven't touched on the battlefield AI at all, where the AI will still suicidally charge some of their units at the start of the battle, or will still clump up in a massive blob, which you as the player will then be able to demolish with abilities or spells, which ironically enough, they showcase exactly that in this battle. All this is to say, I have a bad feeling that history will repeat itself, and I am seeing the exact same marketing, the exact same selling points, and the exact same hype generation I had seen for Warhammer 3. And while you can say that Warhammer 3 is far from a bad game, you can't say that it isn't a half-baked, buggy mess of a product. Now, of course, there are some things that have even me curious about 40k, such as unit customization, them bringing back generals' bodyguards, These are things I would actually like to see play out, and are definitely things I would like to play around with. There's also the whole change where units will shoot at the entirety of an enemy formation and not just a single model, which is currently a massive issue in Warhammer 3. So it does look like there will be some interesting quality of life changes as well. But I refuse to ever again be baited and hyped up by Creative Assembly or other content creators who are promoting the game because they want it to succeed, since the success of the game means growth for their channel. Of course, you will also have people pointing out that this isn't a finished product yet, and it does say development in progress for all of these showcases. And to that, I just have to say that Warhammer 3, a game that has been out for 4 years already, might as well have the same disclaimer on it, since it still has bugs that have been present in the game since its release. It still has unfinished gameplay mechanics. This isn't even mentioning the fact that when Warhammer 3 got released, we got an almost exact one-to-one copy of the early access version of the game, which was available to content creators several months before the game got released. So saying that everything we're seeing for 40k is subject to change is being extremely optimistic and is not rooted in reality. I mean, let's be real. Warhammer 3 is a game that should be currently in early access and not a full release. So saying that we should expect something different from 40k is just outright delusional. And once again, just to reiterate, I want the game to succeed, I want the game to be good, and I want to have fun while playing it when it does release. But I'm also not blind to how Warhammer 3 has been developed and progressed over the years, and I will not fall for the same hype generation machine that is currently only starting to shift into gear. I made this video just to warn you not to get swept up with the hype either, as based on how the past war games have been treated and developed, there is a high chance that 40k will be no different. Whether you take my advice to heart or disregard it entirely is up to you, but you shouldn't be surprised if the worst does come to pass when 40k releases. Anyways, I'm sorry if this came off as a bit of a downer video, but I did feel like making a warning for people, and hopefully the next video I make about 40k will be one in which I can actually be positive about the game. Thank y'all for watching, and I will see y'all next time.
Khorne fights as one.